Let me tell you a story that's been living rent-free in my mind ever since I heard it. Picture a Houston courtroom. Mid-September, the kind of place that feels more like a cathedral for power than a hall of justice wood paneling. Fading gold trim. Stale air barely masked by a cheap plug-in. Judge Marcus Thorne, all silver hair and permanent scowl, looms from his bench. And right from the jump, you know he's not here for second chances. He raps his gavel hard and says, "Sir, sit down. This is not a public forum." But the man standing in front of him doesn't budge. He's young, suit hanging awkward on his shoulders. But his hand is steady on his mom's back. She's sitting at the plaintiff's table, head down, quietly falling apart. That's Sofia Vargas. She spent 3 decades cleaning the homes of people who never learn her name, let alone cared where she lived. Now her world's being torn out from under her by Azure Sky Developments, a slick real estate company with deeper pockets than morals. The judge's voice drips with condescension as he eyes Sofia's court-appointed lawyer, a nervous guy who looks like he's just praying for this all to be over. Your client alleges predatory eviction practices, but the documents show she was offered a generous settlement. Thorne says, all but rolling his eyes, but sitting behind his mother, Alejandro Vargas feels the heat rising. Generous is laughable, barely covers first month's rent on a new place. And that apartment in the East End? That was home. That was family. That was history. The legal aid? Mr. Davies tries to object, says Sofia was threatened with forcible removal if she didn't sign within 48 hours. But the defense lawyer, Ms. Albright, sharp as her steel gray suit, isn't having it. Standard corporate relocation, she says, practically sneering at the word tenants. The judge is already over it, calls development the lifeblood of the city, and reaches for his gavel. And that's when Sofia breaks down. A single sobi. Quiet but heavy as sound of someone who's always done everything right, only to be told it was never enough. Alejandro can't sit still. He stands, walks to his mother, whispers in Spanish, "It's okay, Mama." But the judge is glaring. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to sit down. This is not a public forum." And now, for the first time, the room goes silent. Even Ms. Albright seems thrown. Alejandro stands his ground, his voice calm but carrying, "With all due respect, Your Honor, you've barely looked at the evidence. You dismissed my mother's claim without hearing a single argument." He straightens his tie, meets the judge's glare, and says, "My name is Alejandro Vargas and I am my mom's lawyer." The mood in the room flips. The judge tries to bluff. "I don't see your name on any attorney list." The implication's clear. People like Alejandro don't belong at that table unless they're defendants. But Alejandro is unfazed. "My admission to the Texas State Bar is public record," he says, pulling out his bar card and a business card, associate attorney, Vincent and Elkins, LLP. The judge's face goes from dismissive to dead white in about 3 seconds. Vincent and Elkins doesn't send rookies to handle eviction cases. This is the legal equivalent of bringing a tank to a knife fight. Alejandro sits next to his mother, pulls out a color-coded binder, and calmly requests to enter her evidence into the record. Ms. Albright tries to protest it's all highly irregular, but the judge, reeling from the power shift, overrules her. Alejandro goes to work, zoning maps, city ordinances, permit applications. He shows that Azure Sky filed fraudulent paperwork to classify Sofia's building as commercial storage instead of residential, bypassing tenant protections designed to stop exactly this kind of mass eviction. He's got Marais track down the guy who hand-delivered the 48-hour eviction notices, a man with a criminal record for tenant intimidation. Alejandro calls it what it is, racketeering. You can feel the air change. The judge, once so sure, now looks cornered. If he grants the motion to dismiss, It's going to look real bad like he's helping cover up corporate fraud. For the first time, Thorne is stuck. The judge denies the motion to dismiss and grants an emergency injunction. And Alejandro, he's not done. Given the court's earlier display of bias, he says, it may be best if another judge handles this case. It's a gutsy move, but Alejandro knows the leverage has shifted. The judge, caught on live stream because, oh yeah, someone's been broadcasting the whole mescant retaliate. By the end of the day, the live stream is blowing up. 10,000, then 1 million view hashtags trending. People sharing the story everywhere. Local news, national news, the Houston Chronicle's front page. Complaints start flooding in about Judge Thorne's conduct. Within a week, he's pulled off the case. His political future ruined. Azure Skies stock tanks as more tenants come forward with similar stories. And their high-rise project turns into a toxic liability. The defense lawyer, Albright, she's let go in a desperate move by her firm to save face. The city launches an investigation. The housing rights group that streamed the case gets a surge of donations and volunteers. City council members promise to strengthen tenant protections. Sophia and her neighbors form a land trust. And Azure Sky, desperate to end the bleeding, offers to sell the building at a loss and gives every tenant a settlement 10 times what was first offered. They even donate millions to a city fund for tenant legal aid. And Alejandro, Vincent and Elkins gives him his own pro bono division to fight cases just like this. Citywide, he brings his mother to see his new office the view over the Houston skyline. His name on the door end tells her, "You're the reason I'm here. Every floor you scrubbed, every dollar you saved, built this." Sophia's story, which began with humiliation and fear, becomes a rallying cry for a whole community. And Alejandro's quiet, relentless fight one built on love, hard work, and just refusing to accept no for an answer sets off a ripple of real change. Not just for one family or one building, but for an entire city. So let me ask you, did this story move you? If you want to see more stories like this, stories about the quiet heroes who change the world one battle at a time, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and share your thoughts in the comments. Who knows, maybe the next story will be yours.